Exploring history for sleep. The most bizarre dangers in ancient Egypt. The morning light struggled to seep through the cracks of your mud brick home in ancient Egypt, falling short of chasing away the lingering chill. Even as the sun began its ascent, you felt the early sting of cold air biting at your skin. Creaking wood sound. This is how you knew another day of endless monotony awaited you. As you rolled over, the prickling sensation on your skin reminded you of the uninvited visitors from last night. Fleas, no doubt, celebrating their own little festival as you tried to find warmth in your damp straw bed. You grimaced slightly, bracing yourself for the smell of smoke mixed with wet earth that accompanied each waking moment. Soft scratching of insects. Ah, the joys of domestic life. With a groan, you pushed yourself up, the floor's dirt cool beneath your feet. The time had come for the day's first delight. Sweeping the dirt floor. Yes, your favorite pastime. With a reed broom in hand, you initiated this charming ritual, flicking away the remnants of yesterday. To be fair, your ability to turn dirt into slightly less dirt was unrivaled. Another glorious day for sweeping, you muttered to no one in particular, feeling the light breeze carry a hint of mildew. It was thrilling, really. The rodents scuttled away, as if dodging your artistic flourishes. You couldn't help but chuckle as you imagined a gallery of dirt-strewn masterpieces. Once the floor was acceptably clean, or as clean as dirt could ever be, you turned your attention to the pottage simmering over the fire, its soupy allure wafting ever so slowly into your nostrils. Ah, a true treat. Wine bubbling sound. With a ladle, you stirred the concoction, mixing it with as much enthusiasm as a cactus would show at a water park. Breakfast is served, you quipped dryly, glancing at the bubbling liquid that barely resembled food. Faint, sizzling sound. Stirring could almost be considered a workout, you thought, as you turned over the endless grains of sand that passed for a meal. You wondered if perhaps this was the real reason why ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. Endless stirring resulted in superior muscle definition, after all. The morning unfolded in this splendid rhythm, sweeping, stirring, and the soft sounds of your village waking from a slumber of its own. Outside, voices rose and fell in a gentle murmur, punctuated by an occasional distant bell. This sweet serenade of daily existence, where every day sang the same monotonous tune. And as the sun hung a little higher in the sky, casting longer shadows across your humble abode, you felt your eyelids heavy. Perhaps the most dangerous thing about your existence was more banal than not. It was the prospect of doing it all over again tomorrow, where a new twist awaited and yet remained just out of reach. Hey, before Morpheus fully embraces you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Take a moment to leave a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? And what time is it? Your interaction keeps this calm corner alive. Thanks for being part of it. An unexpected curse amongst the mud. The day didn't just tiptoe into existence. It catapulted from the shadows. You had barely settled into the dreary rhythm of sweeping when a disturbing murmur rippled through the village. It started with a single shout, rough and echoing, slicing through the monotony like a knife. The water is cursed. You paused, broom midair. A curse? Really? Might as well have made a feast of yesterday's stew. It was a classic day for gossip, sure. But this was different. Distant shouting. Your heart quickened. You dared to peek outside. The villagers gathered like startled birds, their faces twisted with worry. The river, that once generous serpent winding through the sand, was now a basin of dread. It glimmered under the sun, but not with the usual inviting hues of blue. Panic gripped you. An elder, gray as the ashes of your morning fire, staggered forward. It's true. The fish, they're dead. The crowd gasped collectively, as if the air itself had fallen heavy. Creaking wood sound. You shuffled through the throng, the stale stench of fear wafting around. Suddenly, everything was too close and too loud. But what does it mean? A villager yelled, his voice cracking like dry earth. Someone fainted, collapsing with a thump that made the ground tremor. Maybe it's the gods punishing us, another offered weakly, glancing skyward, as if the sun might catch flame at any moment. Silence. You felt a tickle of doubt worming into your mind. Your existence may have been dull, but you didn't crave divine retribution. And yet, there was more. In the murmur of voices, a whisper surfaced. Something darker, more sinister. They're taking the children tonight. They say they need subservience, or the waters will rise. Children. The word twisted your stomach. Not that another round of sweeping would have felt less bitter, but their laughter colored your bleak world, caking them for what? Faint chilling breeze, the panic morphed into chaos. Mothers clutched their young, while men bared their shoulders, preparing for confrontation with apparitions only they could see. You stood still, anchored yet adrift, as chaos swirled like dust before a storm. Amidst the turmoil, a low chant broke through, to save our village. It rose in pitch, a wild symphony of desperation ringing in your ears. Your chest tightened. Before you could comprehend, a bang echoed, the wooden doors of the elder's hut flung open. A figure emerged, cloaked and glimmering, much like the cursed water, shimmering ominously. You squinted, trying to weave together bits of legend and reality. Your breath hitched. It's here. The voice surged through the air. The curse is a summoning. We must appease it, or take one of our own. In that instant, silence fell, heavy and filled with dread. You looked around. Hearts raced, breaths held. All eyes turned toward you. Who will you offer? They asked, the question looming like a dark cloud. Your throat dried, a sudden chill crept in, and the warmth of the sun felt far away. You stepped back, already knowing how this would tear the fabric of your life apart. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A curse of hidden truths. You stood there, suspended in horror, as your fellow villagers turned their gazes towards you, unblinking. The air thickened with a mixture of fear and expectation. Who will you offer? They pressed again, their faces a tableau of desperation. The sun, once warm, now hung like an accuser, casting shadows that seemed to stretch out with greedy fingers. Yet before you could reply, an elderly figure stumbled forward. It was Miriam, the village healer, and surprisingly, your usual source of old wives' tales and questionable remedies. Her face, lined with age and wisdom, glistened as if she just emerged from a deep contemplation of the cosmos. They don't seek a child, she proclaimed, voice trembling like a buzzing fly. That's just a distraction. Your mind raced. A distraction from what? You whispered, though you were already certain. With silence thick as a blanket, she continued. The curse, it's not about the river. It's about the stones, the sacred stones. They've been disturbed. The spirits are angry. Excuse you? Your life was boring enough without adding disturbing ancient spirits to the mix. You can almost hear those ancient stones mocking you from their resting places. In a twisted rush, the truths of the village began to unfurl. The merchant from the north, the one who couldn't afford to keep his monopoly of feigned sacred products, had reported a strange disappearance of those same stones from his collection. Had the villagers used the stones for trade? The mortar and pestle of your thoughts ground together like flint and tinder. No, someone in the back cried. It's not the stones, it's the fish. They carried the curse from the deeper waters. Then a rumble echoed through the crowd, nerves crackling like dried leaves underfoot, faces twisted in confusion, darting between Miriam and the murky river. Who would bring such woe? A voice rasped from the shadows, and you turned to see Devora, the village's keeper of secrets, emerging from behind a sagging doorframe. Her attire hugged her figure too tightly, a stark contrast to the frail condition of others. I've seen things you wouldn't dare believe, she continued, her gaze darting nervously. The river didn't curse us. It's the land itself. Eyes widened in disbelief. Was your existence steadying upon bones of truth now? You think this life of sweeping dirt is monotonous? You think the gods punish for our sins? She laughed, a hollow, chilling sound. It's not divine wrath, it's the ancient pact. But before one of the villagers could voice their skepticism, the river whispered back. A low, rhythmic gurgle ensued, and then a sudden splash erupted. Fish leapt from the cursed waters, as if seeking freedom, only to fall back into the flow with desperation. Suddenly, greenish chocolate water bubbled up, swirling like a cauldron, as if in rebellion against centuries of neglect. The villagers watched in horror, hearts pounding a beat of primal fear. Devora glanced around and hissed, "Tonight, when the moon is full." She lifted her finger towards the horizon. "You must seek it. Find the light. The dark holds many secrets." A murmur rose, uncertain, not knowing whether to believe the woman who spun tales or threaten the daunting curse head on. As your heart clamored against your chest, everyone, including you, seemed to lean closer, drawn in by the unmistakable grip of curiosity and dread. What lay in wait? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A modern curse of hidden truths. The murmurs of confusion raced through the crowd. You felt it too. The heaviness, the undeniable tension. The village had never felt quite like this. It was a strange concoction of hope and dread. Miriam's words clung to the air, a distraction from the truth that began to sink in. You squinted against the now ominous light of day. The stones, you echoed, as if saying it aloud, tethered your thoughts. But why would anyone disturb sacred stones? Because they don't believe anymore, Miriam replied, her voice sharper now. They think power lies in plunder and greed. A shiver ran down your spine. You had often wondered if the market had taken a turn for them. Unsettling lately. Trade had grown frantic. Whispers exchanging hands like raindrops on parched earth. Miriam, are you saying this curse has a human source? Her nod felt like the sky crumbling. We've neglected our duties, ignoring the ancient ways. This isn't the first time. Curiosity wormed deeper, edging out the trepidation. So, it's not just the cursed waters? What, then, is the plan? Just then, a child wailed nearby, a high-pitched sound cutting through the hubbub. You turned your attention and the blame away from the elder. The villagers shifted uneasily. One shouted angrily, "We must confront the merchant. It's he who has disrupted the spirits." A pact of naive fury brewed amongst them, ready to send a sea of rage toward anything resembling competition. "Hold on," you cried out, trying to anchor the storm brewing. "Have any of you seen what we've become?" Miriam raised her hands, a plea for calm. But chaos spilled over, each villager feeding into the tension, the remote whispers spiraling into shouts. You watched as Devora seized the moment, a jagged smile cutting through her worry, as she swayed between fury and mirth. This displays the hunger for power, not sacredness, she shrieked. They'd offer themselves over willingly. Suddenly, a low rumble erupted from the river. Eyes widened, bodies recoiled as terror twisted into frenzy. The ominous splash that followed sent fish leaping past you, and the waters roared alive, churning as darkened shapes began to rise. "What?" you whispered, terror lingering like the biting air. Shapes broke the surface, no longer quite fish, but shimmering figures that walked the fine edge between the living and the lost. A specter of spirits draped in shadow flowed with the water's current. "See, they are restless," someone shouted, and panic rippled like wildfire. Miriam struggled through the frenzy, just above a whispered scream. "There is a choice. The balance must be restored." Or then it came, a blast, a shock wave of cold air that knocked the breath from your lungs. The spirits twisted, shapes merging, voices chanting with a haunting echo. "Restore, restore." The crowd fell silent, and for a moment, even the river held its breath. All eyes turned to you, and before you found words, an impossible urge surged within. An echo of purpose merged with fear, this time entirely yours. What would you choose? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. An unexpected twist among the river's whispers. The air simmered with tension as the villagers stared at you, eyes wide with expectation. What choice? What could you possibly say? The weight of their gazes pressed down like the mud in your home. Then came the rumble again. A low, throaty growl from the river, vibrating through the ground. The strange shimmer grew. The spirits were emerging. Alarming figures that twisted and writhed like restless shadows. "Restore, restore," echoed hauntingly from the depths. But just as you were about to respond, an odd noise shattered the anticipation. It was high-pitched, jarring. With a splintering crack, the ancient tree beside the river split, revealing something glimmering deep within its hollow trunk. You blinked. What was that? Suddenly, an unexpected figure burst forth, tumbling into the riverbank. It was a small girl, tangled in her own hair. Faces turned in, confusion. Gasps filling the air. "What in the—" The question was silent, hanging like dust motes. Her eyes were wild, glittering with a strange mix of fear and freedom. "The stones!" she shouted, words spilling from her like water. "They weren't stolen. They've been hidden." The crowd edged closer, hands twitching, some grasping, some pointing. The word hidden hung heavy in the air. "You've known all along?" a villager accused, voice like cracked leather. "Where?" The girl pointed toward the river. "In the cave. They sleep beneath the water, hiding from greedy hands." A murmur rippled through the crowd. "Cave? What cave?" You tried to grasp the situation as shock rippled through you. There was no cave beneath the river, was there? The panic had twisted the village into a web of deceit and fear. But then, Miriam's voice broke through. "What else, child? There's something you haven't revealed." The girl hesitated, chewing her lip, glancing at the swirling water. They said they'd only return if someone took their place." Gasps crescendoed, faces blanching. Villagers were exchanging frantic glances. Would they offer a child? Or even a mother or father? The girl continued, her tone more urgent now. "That's why the spirits are restless. Someone disturbed the balance, shifted things from within." Whispers grew louder. "It's just a girl's tale. Ignorance will be our undoing. We must confront the monsters." All these voices swirled together, loud, chaotic. Your heartbeat raced, connecting to this morbid symphony of fear and absurdity. And then the shimmer returned, intensifying. The river glowed, sending reflections dancing wildly across terrified faces. Shadows twisted like they were alive. "What's happening?" you muttered, panic clawing, heart hammering. With one last crash, the water erupted, revealing submerged shapes. Bones or stones? You couldn't tell, as they arched in the air. Would they be your ancestors? Would they haunt the villagers forever? The crowd shifted back. Stifling gasps swept through you all. In that moment, the river held the truth, swirled with unanswered questions. The air felt thick with possibilities, each one darker than the last. What choice would you make? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. The river's unveiling. The air was electric, charged with fear and speculation. The villagers stood in frozen anticipation. What was submerged beneath the darkened surface? A shimmering outline flickered in the water, unsettling. Your heart raced. Whispers morphed into gasps, folding into a tapestry of dread. The river writhed as if it held more than just curses within its flow. Suddenly, with a tremendous crash, the water erupted, revealing something startling. Not stones or bones, no, something much stranger. Glimmering, fragments of gold splashed up, glinting under the sun's anxious gaze. A river adorned in stolen riches. Terror traded places with intrigue as the villagers leaned in, caught between wonder and fear. What if the old tales were true? What if the spirits hadn't wanted anything from them, but instead sought to reclaim what was theirs? In the frenzy, the small girl spoke again, voice edged with urgency. They're only hidden from greedy hearts. Greedy hearts. Such poetic irony. You half scoffed. A village drowning in boring chores, suddenly bursting at the seams, with tales of mystery and hidden wealth. Life was hardly dull anymore. The crowd's attention flitted between the girl and the beckoning river, where raw history twisted beneath the surface. But before anyone could act, it happened again. The river churned, and with it, the glimmer of golden treasures accompanied a slow, haunting hum, a tune no one recognized. "Miriam," you called over the growing turmoil. "Is this part of the curse too?" Her expression shifted from dread to determination. "No, this is something else. Something that must be closely watched. What appears is often never what it seems." All eyes turned to you once more, there, hopes resting on your shoulders, even as uncertainty danced in their gazes. Desperation weighed heavy. You tried to figure out how you had become the reluctant hero of this chaos. Before you could respond, a deep rumble erupted from the riverbed, as if a beast stirred beneath the depths. The shimmer quaked, shadows sprawled wide, and then silence strangled the air around you. No one breathed. "What are we waiting for?" someone murmured through clenched teeth. "We need to act." "Act?" you countered. "On what information? An unknown river humming with treasures we couldn't possibly hope to understand?" A flicker of unease prickled at your skin. Perhaps it was more than simple ignorance below the surface. Perhaps an ancient bond of trade had been disturbed, stirring forces undiscovered for centuries. As your thoughts spiraled, something colder than the river's chill grasped your heart. Would digging deeper only lead to monstrosities birthed from myth? Or was there a secret less sinister, waiting just out of sight? In a sudden surge, the girl grabbed your hand. "Join me. We can find the stones. We can set things right." Held under the spell of her fervor, you felt the pull. Yet, lurking doubt twisted in your gut, tightening like a noose. Moments stretched taut, each second brimming with tension. Miriam stood at the edge, her gaze searching, but you had no time for clarity. The river called, dark and alluring. With a breath, you stepped closer to the edge, the water lapping at your feet as your heart threatened to leap from your chest. What awaited you there? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A secret hidden in the mud. You stepped closer to the river, heart racing. The girl's eyes were wild with an urgency that pulled you in. What if she was right? What if the hidden stones held an answer to your fears? The river shimmered, reflecting the sunlight in erratic patterns. You could feel the cold splash against your feet. It sent shivers up your spine. But before you could respond, the water's surface erupted once more. Not stones, no. Shapes twisted and formed into something grotesque. Not fish, but shadows of the damned. Gasps erupted, mouths dropping open wide. Were those faces? Features obscured, yet painfully human. Each stitch of panic coursed through the throng. A hush fell over the crowd as their breathing grew shallow. Eyes fixed on this bizarre river theater. You stepped back, the cold retreating as you stumbled on damp earth. What is happening? You managed, unease creeping in like a thief in the night. The girl's eyes sparkled. They need a vessel, she cried, voice thin yet strangely compelling. One must live while another pays the price. A murmur of bewilderment passed through the crowd, where faded voices met disbelief. Vessel, you whispered, gut twisting. Then Miriam stepped forward. It's true, her hands shook, panic rippling from her frame. The ancient curse demands this. The sun above, once a friend, now felt like an accuse. Warmth turned to chill as shadows stretched, clawing at your very core. What manner of power had stirred beneath the river? What pact had been disturbed? The girl pointed toward the water. Look. In a wild flurry, more shapes emerged. Figures draped in dark, ghostly shrouds rose from the depths, spectral faces tilting toward the sky. What are you? You mouthed, unable to muster sound. The souls of the forgotten, cried Devora, eyes wide as saucers. Angels or demons, it matters not. They are here to reclaim their toll. And the river roared in response. A surge swept over the bank, a warm gurgle turning the air thick with tension. Fear crackled, sending jolts through the crowd. Then, just as confusion peaked, the girl stepped forward, pulling you with her. I know the way, but you must choose. Your throat tightened. Choose what? Either the price is paid, or we all pay. Her voice crescendoed, echoing through the collective breath of the villagers. Each heart beat faster. Breathless murmurs grew into shouts. Mothers screamed for their children. Workers grasped stones, as if they could hurl them at this unfurling madness. You turned to the river, confusion setting in. Then, without warning, a haunting voice spiraled from the depths. One must rise, it chanted, but who shall fall? The air thickened as everyone turned to you. Desperation etched in each face, a choice to make. But you could only stand frozen. The river's surface shimmered, beckoning with secrets untold. It held the weight of ages, hovering on the brink of revelation. "Who will you be?" whispered the current, drown in anticipation. And there it was, the heart of your world trembling. You felt the pull, the weight of the village on your shoulders. Would you lead your people into darkness? Or would you walk away from the curse that threatened to consume? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. The river's secret revealed. The village was about to witness something unimaginable. You stood up a riverbank, pulse racing, as the crowd's eyes drilled into you. You were the chosen one, or perhaps the unwitting fool. The water twisted into a violent whirlpool, shadowy shapes rising ominously. Faces flashed beneath the surface, etched with expressions of despair. You stumbled back, every instinct screaming to flee. Yet the girl beside you held tight, her grip a mix of fear and determination. "Look," she urged, eyes gleaming with something that intrigued you more than terrified you. "We can save them, or ourselves." Suspicion draped over the villagers like a damp blanket. You sensed their anxiety shift, a tidal wave ready to crash. But then, with a tremor that shook the ground, the very earth beneath your feet quaked. Water surged. A thundering voice boomed from the river. "A choice must be made. One must rise." Panic erupted as people jostled and shouted. Voices clamored, some trembling, some angry. A mother clutched her son, eyes wide with fear. Another villager shouted, "What are we even doing here?" Then, amidst the chaos, a man you knew well, a regular at market stalls, stepped forward. Flashes of sunlight glinted off something in his hands. Was it a stone? No, it was a gold pendant, glimmering with a light that seemed almost alive. "I found it!" he cried, voice booming over the tumult. This belonged to the river's spirit. Gasps filled the air. The truth hung heavy. The legend of the river wasn't just a tale. It was a secret unearthed. "That's what they've been after," another villager shouted. "Power!" The crowd turned their focus toward the man. Adventure shimmered in their eyes, yet fear lingered beneath. "Where did you find it?" you asked, your heart thumping ear to ear. His gaze sparkled, but his voice trembled. "From the depths. I thought it was just a dream." No one had the courage to question his truth. Then suddenly, a fluid ripple broke across the river's surface. Shadows began to coalesce, forming spiraling figures covered in damp veils. The spirits, perhaps? You shivered as they emerged, luminous yet terrifying, their voices echoing like whispers on the wind. "Return what was lost, or be lost forever," they warned. And the very air felt charged, heavy, like the lingering smell of rain. But hang on, a thought flickered in your mind. If he found one, What else lay hidden in those dark depths? Gold wasn't supposed to be swimming with lost spirits. You glanced at the crowd, noting how greed twisted their features, eyes darting from the gold to the water, then finally to you. "No," you shouted. "You can't let." But the words fell into the thick silence between gasps. Suddenly, the girl yanked at your arm, pulling you away. "We must find more before they take everything." But what if the gold cursed those who sought it? Just when you felt the last strings of reason slip away, the river roared, shadows lunging forward. But was it rage or hope that surged beneath? The answers lay just out of reach, like the shimmering treasures tempting the village. And the choice? Oh, it loomed large. What would you choose to save? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. The river's secret of vanished trust. You stood at the edge of the river, breath quickening. The villagers awaited your move. The water churned ominously, spirits twisting through the murky depths. Beneath their ghostly forms lay the unknown. You could feel their hunger, a dark desire stirring in the air around you. In a panicked gasp, someone shouted, "What will you do?" But your voice trembled, lost in the cacophony of gasps and whispers. "I don't know," you managed, as the river bobbed and surged. Suddenly, a furious growl erupted beneath the water, shaking the ground. The girl clutched your arm tighter, eyes wide. "They need what was taken, or we're all lost." A knot twisted in your stomach. What if it wasn't just gold? You recalled old tales of the merchant. He dealt in whispering secrets. Just then, a ripple broke the surface. A heavy object emerged, thick with mud, revealing itself to be a statue. Not just any statue, a figure of a forgotten god, its eyes fixed upon you. The villagers recoiled, faces drained of color. "That's not right," someone murmured, their voice barely a whisper. The girl stepped forward, awe overtaking her fear. "This is part of it. It's the source." You looked closer. Wrinkled skin covered in carvings, symbols you barely recognized. Your heart raced. Instinct warned you against touching it. Yet curiosity clawed at your mind, dark and clawing. Are we meant to offer this to the spirits? You pondered aloud, tone laced with doubt. "No!" Devora cried, her face twisted into a grimace. "That's not how it works!" "It was hidden for a reason." "Hidden," you echoed, every word weighing heavy. Why were secrets buried in the river? The crowd shifted restlessly, fear and intrigue battling for dominance. Then the forgotten god whispered, its voice an eerie echo. "You must choose, sacrifice or restore the balance." Your blood ran cold. "Miriam," you called out, your voice cracking. "What does it mean?" She glanced back to the river, uncertainty flashing in her eyes. "The pact binds us to the river's heart. If disturbed, it seeks a vessel. But we're manipulative fools if we think we can restore what was never ours." Suddenly, shadows broke free from the surface, swirling around the statue, forming a vortex of energy. The villagers gasped, stepping back as the air thickened with something ancient and dangerous. "What if it demands a life?" you whispered. "What if it chooses among us?" A murmur rippled through the crowd. Women clutched their children. Men stared, fists clenching, as silence suffocated the space between breaths. Then, unexpected laughter broke the tension, echoing eerily against the water's surface. It was the merchant, stepping forward from the shadows, grinning like a wolf among sheep. "I always knew greed could make one blind," he replied. "But what they really want is fear. Power lies not in the river, but in you all." The villagers recoiled, eyes darting between him and the statue, uncertain. As he spoke, the river glowed, shadows swirling more violently. The weight of your surroundings collapsed. Shadows were no longer mere reflections. They were alive, reaching for you. And then you understood. The choice wasn't about goods, it was about trust and betrayal. Someone would pay. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? And what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. The murmur of the crowd fell into an uneasy silence as the revelation of the statue lay before them, light glimmering on, its golden surface like sun-kissed dew. You stood at the riverbank, heart racing wildly. The villagers shifted nervously, shadows of skepticism creeping back into their thoughts. This wasn't simply a matter of greed. Something primal lurked beneath the surface, waiting for its moment. The merchant's mocking laughter faded into the background, swallowed by the murmuring winds. They need not just gold, you realized. Thoughts racing. The village had sought power and riches, but you felt somewhere deep down that the answer lay not in grand offerings, but in humility and truth. To restore balance, we must acknowledge the harm we've done. Duff. With a deep breath, you stepped closer to the statue, your instinct guiding you. "This isn't for profit," you declared, your voice trembling with determination. "It's about restoring what was lost. We've taken from the land, and now we must give back." Miriam nodded, her gaze fierce, embers of hope flickering back to life. Other villagers watched, eyes glistening with a mix of disbelief and resounding hope. The shadows in the river surged in response, twisting like living ink against liquid crystal. It beckoned to you like an old friend with secrets to share. Gathering your courage, you gestured to the river. We need to return the statue, return our respect to the old ways. Without waiting for consensus, you took the gold figure and approached the river's edge. As you offered the statue back to its rightful place, the water trembled with anticipation, swirling around your feet like affectionate fingers. Cold kissed your skin, a shiver crawling the length of your spine. The voices of despair morphed into murmurs, disbelieving but curious. Tentatively, they stepped forward, emboldened by your will. As the last bit of the statue sank beneath the surface, a radiant glow erupted from the water. The river shimmered, shadows coiling and unfurling like petals of a flower blooming in time-lapse. The spirits, no longer angry but transformed, rose gracefully, their forms solidifying into figures of light, serene and ethereal. They whispered words of gratitude, carried on the wind, filling the atmosphere with calm. The villagers gasped, understanding dawning like a sunrise breaking through the night. You turned to face your fellow villagers, your heart swelling with relief. We need to seek balance, to respect what the river has given us, including ourselves. A wave of solidarity washed over the crowd, hands clasped, faces lit with newfound purpose. But as cheers erupted, the young girl from earlier caught your eye, her expression taut with an unspoken worry. "What lies beneath the surface still?" she asked, her voice soft yet urgent. A chill fluttered through you, for the question lingered like an echo in a vast canyon. You sensed the river held other secrets, unclaimed yet alive, waiting with bated breath. With the village facing the dawn of change, you felt a new beginning dawn within you too. Perhaps this was merely the prologue to greater mysteries yet unwritten. The river remained, shadows brewing beneath its calm exterior, calling with promises and unseen echoes of ancient tales. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, you must subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't let the button vanish like yesterday's breakfast. Smash that like button now to keep the magic flowing through the universe. Flood the comments section with your reactions, wild theories, or dreams about this ending. I want to hear it all. Share this video right away with 5 friends who need this closure in their lives. Remember, only true fans make the world we build here thrive and shimmer. This is the moment to show your support.